Hey folks, welcome to the Clear Creek Cabin Mini Farm. So today we're going to build a winter hoop house for our raised garden bed here. We've got some lettuces here that we want to try to get as much as we can out of them throughout the season. I know it probably won't be able to go all winter, but we might be able to get it well into December, maybe early January, and still have lettuces. We'll see how it goes. So come on along today. We're going to go ahead and build the hoop house. I think it's going to rain just about any minute, so I'm going to build it down in the garage, and my lovely bride is going to help me carry it back up. So come on along. Should be a fun day. Of course, you know how it goes with a project. As soon as they were ready to get started, it started to sprinkle out. So I've moved everything. We're going to do this in the barn. Excuse the mess. Always have too many projects going on. Metal for the chicken coop, wood paneling for the inside of our new addition, all kinds of craziness. But I digress. So basically, here's the parts and pieces that you're going to need. Let's start with the wooden base. You're going to need your 2x4s to be able to create the frame base for the hoop house. What I have here are two 8-foot 2x4s, two 33-inch pieces of 2x4, and four little 45-degree cut angle brackets to be able to put on the inside of the frame to be able to sturdy it up. Now, your dimensions are going to be different from mine, but we'll discuss mine. My bed is exactly 8 foot by 40 inches. So now I've got my 8-foot pieces here. I've got my 33s, because obviously 33 plus 3.5 and 3.5 is 7. That's 40. That creates your actual outside frame. So what we'll do is we'll put this together and assemble this first. And once that's done, we can start to put on the PVC hoops. All right, on your last corner, you know that all the other corners are square because you basically have done it with the 45s in here. You may end up with a situation like this only because you had some creep on your workbench. So what you need to do is just grab a clamp and just bring this up and clamp so that the edges line up where they need to line up, right here on the face. Make sure they're good and square. Set this screw in over here. Make sure you're square. And now you can set this last screw in over here. And as I did with all the others, I'll pre-drill another hole here and put another screw in here just to make sure it's good and tight. Okay, jumping ahead a little bit. This is what the hoop is going to look like. This is the one end of it. I did a little test case here to make sure that my theory is going to work. What I did was I took end caps for 1/2-inch PVC. You can buy them in a hardware store. I'll put a link to them down below at my Amazon partnership account. If you want to buy them there, it doesn't matter, don't care, either there or in the local hardware store. 1/2-inch caps, 1/2-inch PVC. what I did is I drilled a hole down about 1/4 of an inch into the wood here and into your wood here. That's the diameter of this cap, which is 1 1/8 inches. That way, that gives a little extra support of the wood being recessed here, down in here, so that you have a little extra strength. Because what you're going to do is you're going to drill a hole through these caps and you're going to screw them in. What I've seen in a lot of videos is people will just take this, drill a hole, screw it in, and then this is wobbly. This is very wobbly there, and the only thing that's holding it there is that one individual screw. What I'm afraid is that that's a failure point. If that wind moves back and forth, you might lose that screw. So my thought and process is that if you recess this cap down into the wood a little bit, that gives you the strength of the wood holding the cap in place to be able to hold this up in. And we'll show you how to do that here as we go down a little further. 1 1/8 inches, I've marked that off where I need to have it here. And you just drill that down just about, it doesn't have to be perfect, just about 1/4 of an inch. It doesn't have to be exact, just enough to be able to hold that cap. All right, just going to show you how to drill these caps safely. Pick a drill bit the size of the screw that you're going to put in. Obviously the shank of the screw, not the head. The head should be obviously larger than the actual shank. So just pick a drill bit that matches up pretty much with the screw. Grab a pair of pliers, hold your cap good, and go ahead and drill your hole. Doesn't have to be exact, pretty much in the middle. As you see, that spins pretty quickly on you. So I'll do another one. And I've got an old board that I don't care if I get drill marks in. Now that you've got all of your holes drilled down about 1/4 of an inch, and you've got your caps drilled out for the screw, go ahead and insert them all in place here, as you can see I've done, and put them in good and tight. Now what we can do is decide on the length of the pipe that you're going to have. I want to have about 2 foot up on mine. I don't need it any higher than this. This is only 40 inches wide, and I don't really need more than 2 foot of clearance in and around the gardens for what we're going to do. Obviously, the wider you are, the larger you can make the loop. I don't want to have a really crazy looking high loop. I want to have a nice little curve. So I've done some measuring, and pretty much what I figured out here, a 5 foot piece is going to fit me perfectly. Okay, so now what I'll be able to do is put them in and bend them over in order to be able to get them into the individual little caps. What you're going to want to try to do is get a previous bend on these. These are pretty stiff. I've got a pretty reasonable day today here. It's about mid-60s and drizzling and rain. So that is on the cool side. You may have to use a heat gun or a hair dryer to warm the pipe up a little bit in order to bend it, but I think I can probably do it here today. You just grab both ends of the pipe and give it a good squeeze and try to get it to bend around for yourself so you can be able to make yourself easier, make this transition a little bit easier as we go here. So now the first thing we're going to do is put the end cap in. And putting in the end cap, what you're going to use and you're going to need are some tees. These tees are 3/4 by 1/2 inch. So this 3/4 will actually slide over the 1/2 inch pipe. And then there's going to be another piece that's going to go into the 1/2 inch side of it that's going to go out as the stringers across the hoops. And I'll show you that in a moment. Let's get this in here first of all. So let's start out by putting this in over here. Like so. Try to get it in as far as you can. We'll put our 3 tees on. And we'll try to bend this into place as best as we can. And push it in as hard as you can. Okay, and there's your loop. Now, once we get all the loops, what's going to happen is that this tee is going to hold a 1/2 inch piece that's going to go across the top. There'll be another piece that'll go across the side over here, and another piece that will go across the side over there in order to be able to create a nice sturdy hoop. Let's get the next one on. Again, I already started to kind of pre-bend it, but just kind of get the bend as best as you can in there. Doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. All right, now that I've got my 4 hoops in, what you need to do is measure the distance from end to end, taking into consideration that you're going to slide the pipe into your little T here. It should go in about a 1/2 of an inch. So what I do is I measure straight from the bottom of the first one all the way over to here, 7'2". All right, now that that's cut, what we're going to do is pick the center T and insert it in there. And slide it up to the very tippity top. And slide it in here. Cut 2 more pieces, 1 for each end. And insert them over here. This next part is, totally up to you, whatever you want to do. You can put these anywhere you want along the side here. I've decided to come up just about 10 inches. So what I'm going to do is come up 10 to the bottom of the T. And it doesn't have to be exact. Make my mark. Okay, so I don't lose it. Now there's many ways you can do this. You can use a white electrical tape if you want to just tape it all on there. What I use is a self-drilling screw. They're called Tex. You can get them in Lowe's, Home Depot, on Amazon, wherever you want. But a 3/4 inch. And then what you can do is set your T where you want to have it. And make sure it's pretty well lined up. And then I go from the inside because I don't want to have the screw come in contact with the plastic. Okay, that'll hold that right there at 10 inches. Now this is where I use the tape anyways. You could put another screw through here if you wanted to, but at 10 inches, it's actually going to be a little bit more. It's going to be 11. And then you can just tape this in place. Use a white electrical tape. Electrical tape is waterproof. Okay. Makes that nice and sturdy. Now we'll do the top and the other side. Okay, on to the next step. So now what we're going to do is we're going to drape the plastic up over the top. This is where our furring strips are going to come in. We're going to cut furring strips for the ends right here on each side. We'll pre-drill the furring strips so that we can screw them down in place and pull the plastic nice and tight to the hoop house itself. Okay, I've marked out the furring strips at some reasonable distance. You can do whatever you want. I go a little crazy sometimes, I guess, and get too anal. Somebody's doing some hunting. Deer season's opened up. I ordered the clear plastic. It's actually greenhouse plastic, so it's nice and clear. I ordered it from Amazon. I'll put a link down below if you're interested. And I probably bought a little bit too much. I believe this is a 10-foot by 15-foot, so it's probably way too much, but they come in various sizes. You're just going to have to determine which one's best for you. Just going to have to unfold it and wrangle it on as best as you can. There is an inside and an outside. It's clearly marked as to which is which. Okay, once you've got the plastic all stretched out where you want it, so you've got enough to be able to pull from for each side, put your first furring strip on. Make sure it's lined up where you want it. Go ahead and cinch it down. So at this point, what you're going to do is you're just going to cut off any of the excess just so that it's manageable. Now you're going to want to give yourself plenty of it so that you can pull it tight. And the next thing is going to be to cinch down the other side with your furring strip. This is the point where you're going to have to stretch it good and tight, and you're going to have to get your screws in. So what I did is I started them all over here without going through the plastic. Okay, so now at this point in the game, what you're going to want to try to do is pull the plastic as tight as you can. As straight as you can. Now what I'll do is go to the other end and try to pull it down a little bit. Make sure it's good and tight this way. Both ways here. Okay, and then just go along and continue to pull it tight while you're cinching down the furring strip. Okay, at this point what you're going to have to do is you're going to just kind of have to wrangle with this end and fold it over as neatly as you possibly can to make it look nice. You can also buy these little 1/2-inch PVC clamps. Again, on Amazon, I'll put the link down below. I don't know where else they're available. I didn't see them in any of the hardware stores. But what you can do with those is you can pull your plastic good and tight here and clip these on. And then pretty much wrangle this as neatly as you want to go. Okay, I think that's about the best as you're going to do on the end over there. Okay, now that it's done on all sides, what I'm going to do is trim off the plastic, but I'm going to leave a little bit of it so that I can pull it tight if I need to again. In case it starts to come out at all for any reason, I want to be able to grab it and be able to pull it tight again and maybe put more screws in. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut it right on the edge of the 2x4. Okay, so we've got it up here. And now what we've decided to do is to hinge this in such a way that when, on really nice days, we can hinge this back and allow the western sun, the southwestern sun, to be able to get in there and hit it, instead of the other way, which would have been the morning sun. It'll probably be too cool then to open it up. So now we've got the lid all hinged on and working just fine. Now what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to be able to hold this up during a day that we have really nice warm temperatures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a little wooden stanchion that's going to go from here to here in the dead middle. And then what I'll do is I'll put ropes on the end to keep it from blowing over the rest of the way. Now in order to be able to do that and figure out what this crazy angle is going to be on here without doing a lot of crazy measurements and everything, what we're going to do is take a 2x4 and we're going to put a screw in it. Oh, just about here. And what we'll do is we'll take and hold that right up on the very end of this board, and you'll see why in a minute. What we're going to do is just hold this right up here like this so that it flushes out with the very end of the greenhouse lid. Like that. And what we'll do is we'll open our lid to about where we think we're going to want to have it to be held up without going too far, kind of at a balance point so it doesn't put a lot of weight on everything. About like that ought to be good. Get a screw in here. Kind of cumbersome. About like that. Okay, now what we'll be able to do is mark an angle on this in order to be able to cut this wood and cut this wood down here. I see I'm going to have to readjust this down here though, but that's okay. That'll be easy enough to do. Okay, now basically all that's done for us, it's determined the angle. So now what we can do is just mark this mark here on the board, mark this mark here on the board, and go cut it. Okay, now that we've got the angle cut and I've temporarily screwed it in place so it's flushing out with the top, with the bottom here and the top up here, what we're going to do is we're going to make some marks on here. Now what that will do is this will create a mark here. So what I'm going to be able to do is do a recess and cut out a section of this board here to create a little teeny notch on the back, so it will sit against the 2x4, and do the same up here. Okay, what we'll do is take the bracket back off again now, and we'll take an inch out of here and an inch out of here with a jigsaw. Now that we got the notches cut in here, this will hold us up perfectly. Now this will keep it up, but it won't keep the wind from taking it over. We're going to have to add the ropes to each side. So I'm only going to put this in here temporarily because we got a windy day here today. Remember to keep your top up and your bottom down. And there you go. What happens is that these little notches just end up holding it perfectly in place, so it's not going to go anywhere. It will go over though. So that's the key that you got to be careful of, is that you've got to make sure that you've got this set in place here, and then you get the ropes on next. So now we'll put on the ropes. Okay, now we're going to put the ropes on. What we'll do is we'll put the bracket back on temporarily, and we'll go ahead and screw it in place so it doesn't fall while I'm working on it. That way it won't go anywhere on me temporarily. Okay, and now what you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to take some fender washers. You don't know what a fender washer is? That's a fender washer. And some clothesline. So we're going to come in 10 inches. What you're going to do is you're going to start your fender washer with a screw. Right here in the side. And what you're going to do is you're going to take and tie a little knot on the bottom of your rope. I use a bowline. You don't have to be that special, but I know how to tie one. And what you do is you just slip that right over. And cinch down your fender washer. You don't even have to really do that. You just got to kind of wrap it around it. Okay? And we'll pick another spot. Make it good and strong. Yeah, right about in there. So that's, call it 16. Same thing. Screw and fender washer. Okay, take your rope, bring it up around, wrap it maybe a couple times if you want to. Sure it's good and snug. And cinch it down. And cut off your excess rope. Okay, now that the hinge ropes are tied in place, we should be able to take these screws out without any problem. And that should be it. That shouldn't go anywhere. Even if the wind pulls on that a little bit. It shouldn't come loose at all. It shouldn't really fall down. Should be fine. When you're ready, you just have to put a little bit of pressure on the top and swing this out of the way and drop your lid down. When you want to put it up, just put it up, set it here in the center, slide it over into the middle and push it down, and it really shouldn't go anywhere. Now, one of the other things you can do if you really want to get sexy, you can take a couple eye hooks, regular eye bolts, and what you can do is you can drill a hole down through here and put the eye bolt down in to hold it in place, and you can drill a hole over through here, and that'll guarantee that it won't flop back and forth on you. I don't think I'm going to need to do that, but I'm going to do it just because it's going to be fun. That's it for today's video, folks. Hope you liked it. Hopefully this will work for us and we'll be able to get a lot of lettuce over the winter months, and we'll see how it goes. We'll let you know in the spring. Hope you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Stop back and see us. Love to have you become members of our family here at the Clear Creek Cabin Mini Farm, and God bless you till the next time we see you. Well, we had a pretty hard frost last night. It was 16 degrees overnight. And this has done a wonderful job in keeping the lettuce alive. So hopefully this will work well for us throughout the winter. Keep checking in with us.